what makes you stand out? Because you always are going to have competition. There's no such thing, at least in our industry, of the one person that has a different offer, right? So that's the one thing, right? Is that they can actually say, we are aggressively, actively operating still, and we're getting the same pain points you are, but learn from us instead of doing it and figuring it out on your own, right? So plenty of coaches out there.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Pete Podcast, where we talk about the latest trends, goings on, and just anything real estate investing. I'm your host, John Mullen, and I have a special guest this week. I've known her for a while. Like, if you were in a room with Amanda, you know who she is very quickly. She is a lot friendlier than I am, I guess you could say, in a good way. She is the Director of Partnerships for Results Driven, Josh and Tiffany High. I'm sure most of the people listening to the podcast or watching the podcast know who that is. She's been there a while. She's doing great things, and I'm excited to have her on. Just going to have a conversation. Thanks for joining us, Amanda.
Thanks for having me. You're very nice. I don't know what people are talking about.
I'm nice. I'm just quiet.
Yeah,
I'm just quiet. I like to kind of sit at the back of the room. That's why at family, I sit at the front. It's kind of getting me out of my box. But anyways, start off. Tell us about what you do at Results Driven.
So I help Josh and Tiff make sure we have all of the resources for the students in the community, usually in the form of different types of partnerships, different types of education we don't provide. Usually a lot of tech, comes into that, lead providers, things like that. So keeping relationships. I am very relationship driven. That's why people tend to know who I am, because I actually get to know people. I actually want to know what's going on with their family. I like to know what they do. Like, love that you guys fly. Like, you know what I mean? Just different things. And so I like to keep a pulse on that, and I get to do it and make actual money for the company, which is a fantastic thing. But it's more about keeping in the community what are the resources they need to be successful as real estate entrepreneurs, and make sure that we're bringing in quality. So I'm always also keeping them honest as well. I've definitely kicked out a few partners here and there since I've been here to make sure everybody's honest. So it's just that nice relationship flow and going to events and shaking hands, kissing babies type stuff.
And and I'm not going to try to go too personal here, but your wife, your mom, I mean, you're busy. You are always busy, right?
I'm crazy is what I am, I think, most days. But yeah, no. I think anyone with kids, if you have more than one, I always say if you have more than one kid, like scheduling is kind of, I think, the success to parenthood. In a lot of ways. Patience is probably the second thing. But yeah, no, 5 kids. I am a spouse to a career military man who happens to not be in the continental US right now. And so I get to take on double role when that happens. But I am happy to do that. It's much better than what he has to do. So it's always busy, but I like that. I think that's what keeps me running all the time, is keeping everybody, happy, healthy, and productive. And I think that's just kind of my thing. I decompress in very different ways.
Fair enough. We're all different, and I like that you put that. Not just I unwind or I relax. You decompress. I could go off. I go way off subject sometimes, so I'll try to stay on real estate. So you deal with a lot of partners, tech, coaching, lots of other things. I'm sure there are red flags because you probably get approached by everybody under the sun. What are the top red flags when somebody reaches out to y'all that wants to work with Josh and Jeff?
I think it's the approach is the first thing. Is in order to be in a successful partnership, the approach should never be, how can I come make money with your people? Or how can I get access to grow my thing, right? It needs to be a more, what do you actually have? Right? The people that approach me the right way is, what is your community made of? What main avatar are you seeing? What needs do you see that they need? Is there any gaps that you need filled? Like, when they actually take a minute to learn, then it's going to intrigue me. If you're just coming at me with the typical pitch before I even know who you are, it's white noise. It's not going to get listened to. It's not going to get responded to. If I'm at an event, I'm going to be very nice and professional, but I'm going to find my way to walk out of that conversation. And it's the same way I approach things in reverse. Like, that should never be the way because I don't want to be transactional. That's the last thing. And Tiff and Josh are very much on that same wavelength. They're not here to be transactional. Um, there obviously is money in everything we're doing, otherwise we wouldn't be business. So, but you can't be transactional about it. So you need to come with more just authentic relationship, type of questions versus how can I make money? Because that tends to be, I'm just going to ignore that completely.
Yeah, I get you. I have people approach us sometimes. Hey, we would like to have this incorporated into PR thing, a button that does this. And I'm like, and they, we've done this much money. We do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, but how will that help my people? How will that help our users?
Yep.
So, um, what are I'm trying to think of some really good questions with service providers. Red flags are obviously what people go for.
Yeah.
But
And I can give you a few more that I look
yeah,
at.
I would love to hear some others.
Even if you approach it correctly, right? Even if you go and you can be a good talker, right? Because listen, we're all salespeople at the end of the day, no matter what we're doing, because we're selling ourselves, we're selling our thing, right? And you might be able to sell yourself really good to me, but then I'm going to ask you a lot of number questions. I am a data person through and through. So I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you things like, okay, have you tested that webinar or that offer? What's your conversion? Where are you getting your leads from? I'm going to start digging in to find out. And I can tell really quickly if somebody does not really know what's going on in their business, or maybe they haven't tested it. I'm going to ask them, especially on a monthly reoccurring, what's your churn? What's your nutrition rate? Like, I'm going to ask you, like, how sticky is this offer? What are, I don't look at Google ratings. I mean, maybe I do at some point, but in reality, what I'm really looking
Great
at is,
default.
yeah, what's that lifetime value of your client or your customer, right? Like, what does that look like? And so when they're not able to answer those questions pretty quickly, it's a red flag to me. I know, John, if I ask you some of these questions, you're going to know almost every precise answer, or you're going to say, you know what, it's roughly this. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back to you. Right. Like that type of conversation. If you don't know those answers, you should not be positioning partnerships, period.
Good. Yeah, I got you. And you kind of answered one that a follow-up question I was going to have is there's time I love data. I'm not good at memorizing the data. So I frequently have to go, oh crap, I don't remember. Let me find out.
Yeah.
And there's people that absolutely is oh, you don't remember this, all these right off the bat. Sorry, it's not gonna work. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Um, but how do you handle when people say, I can get that back, I can get that for you, and they get it to you in a timely manner versus 3, 4, 5 days later, where you think, or at least shows where my mind goes, you think they're making it up because they're taking so long.
Well, they just don't know it. They're not tracking it, probably is the number one thing is they're not tracking that data that's super important for me to know if they have a quality offering. And I also think it depends on who I'm talking to, right? If I'm talking to the owner and the visionary, I'm actually not surprised if it takes them a minute to get me the answer, or if they say, you know what, let me pass you off to, Joe Schmo over here, because they're going to have that answer, right? Because the whole point is when you're the visionary, you're the one driving the business, you don't get in the weeds of those things. But if I'm talking to somebody like me that is a partnership person, they should know this data. There should be a electronic sticky note on the screen that
Mhm.
tells you the specific KPIs that show that we're successful, right? If somebody asks me, every point of my ascension model, what's the conversion rate, and and how sticky is it, how long do people stay with your one-on-one coaching program, the questions they're going to ask me, I know every one of those answers. I take it very seriously to know that. Even when I was learning in the beginning, I probably knew the data before I understood the offer, because
Yep.
I can sell and fudge that offer for a second and fake it till I
Mhm.
make it, but on data you got to be accurate, cuz if you're not, you run one promo, you run one thing, and it'll become very clear very quickly.
And then word gets around fast.
Yes.
You BS one person, everybody's going to find out.
Yeah. I reference check anyway. We're in these groups. Everybody is very, it's a terrible word, but like incestuous. We all work together. We're all very like intertwined. And so I will easily reach out to 3 or 4 people and be like, hey, have you ever worked with this person? What was it like? Because the data might be great, but what were they like to work with? Because we can all put up
Mhm.
a shield. It's like dating, right? You can put up a shield for the first few weeks and all of a sudden the cracks start coming in. So I think it's really important to reference check. And if they're brand new, someone like me is probably not gonna give a brand new person a chance unless there is some history that can overcome that. Like, they came from somewhere else, or we are high students of ours that have actually gone into the software more data, but the software industry, the tech industry, and come up and been great. So it gonna get there's some relationship pieces there, but if they're brand new, you're not gonna hit a big fish like Tiffany to be able to partner with because she's gonna wanna see that it actually works.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I think a lot of people don't understand that well. They think, well, I have a great product or I have a great offer. Everybody should be jumping on it. It's like, okay, but lots of people think they have a great offer. And yours may be amazing, but people's reputation is on the line.
Yeah,
And that matters a whole lot.
yeah.
I remember, I'm not going to say who it was, but I remember, see, it's 2026, 6 years ago, somebody was in a lot of our groups that came out with the rehab software and just sold it hard, and lots of people bought it, and it was down to 0 subscribers in like 2 or 3 months because it was absolutely horrible. And at that point, his name was not worth as much anymore. And that makes a big difference. He could come out with something that's 10 times better now, and it would be so much harder to get anybody to buy into it
Yeah,
because of that history. So I get where you're going.
yeah.
Um, in regards to y'all's community, what does your community look like? Is it all seasoned investors? Is it newbies? Is it a mixture? What do you even consider a seasoned investor?
So I don't actually, the last question, I don't know that that answer is one you can find, right? Because I think everyone's definition of a
Hmm.
seasoned investor, I say consistent investor versus
Okay.
seasoned, right? Because if someone's doing consistent deal flow, even if it's 2 deals a month, that can still be a seasoned investor if they've been
Mhm.
doing that for 3 years, right? Like that, that's pretty normal. Our community is a good mixture. We don't target brand new investors, but we definitely do get a good amount since we have a free version of our community. So we have newbies, and then we have maybe in the beginning stages, they're only doing 1 deal a month, or they've only done a handful of deals. And then we go all the way up to people that are doing, 15, 20 deals a month, right? So we have this big, nice wide range. I would say we sit in the middle mostly, right? So we're going to be heavy on people that are doing 1 to 5 deals a month and they're stuck, right? That's the reason they kind of find us is they get to a point because usually as an investor, you hit either a knowledge gap, a systems gap, mostly a capacity gap, right? You don't have any more capacity. You're a 1 or 2 man shop. You don't know how to hire or you tried, whatever. So that's usually where we sit the most is that 1 to 5 deals a month and they're just stuck for some various reason. And that's typically where we educate and come from to be able to overcome it and grow to whatever level they want to, right? Not every investor wants to get to 15, 20 deals a month. That's
That was what I was about to ask is what is y'all like? Do y'all have an internal goal? If we want to get all these people that come in that are doing 1 to 5 up to 10 deals or 15 deals. And I love that answer because everybody's different.
yes. Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Some people don't even want to grow deal flow. They want to just know how to exit. They just want to know how can I have a self-managed business that's still doing these
Mhm.
3, 4 deals a month, but I don't have to do it, right? As the person. I just want my time back. So we see all different various what growth and success looks like is very different for everybody.
I love that. I love that. And I think if I don't know all of your offers, I should know all of your offers, but I don't. I know that small group is not, is that the pinnacle or is there's something above?
That's the top. So small group is what I don't know why we call it small group, but small group is I think it's because it's a smaller group, is our one-on-one coaching students. So that's going to be your very consistent seasoned investors, typically ones that are trying to grow and probably exit from the day to day, right? So it's going to be people that are doing consistently multiple deals a month. It depends on we don't gauge them again. We don't gauge them by you have to do 5 or 10 deals a month to get into this thing. It's again consistency and length of time, and also revenue. Right? Can they afford to be in that group? Can they afford the marketing that would be required to get them to that next level? Because there is kind of those thresholds. But we have a one to many. We have the one on one. We have a free community with education. We kind of try to hit all of the avatars and make it where everybody has an ability to learn from what Josh and Tiff have done. And I think people get surprised when they realize they're still doing 20 plus deals a month on their own investment side that Josh runs himself day to day. So they get to actually hear from people that are still in it, even like now when it's a little bit more difficult, but they can understand what those investors and those students are going through.
Gotcha. And that's a huge deal, I think, for me at least, because there are a lot of coaches. There are a lot of coaches who do zero deal flow. They have exited from that, and that's fine. But I think the ones that still have their hand, even if they're somewhat passive on it,
Yeah.
if they still have a business that's running, doing wholesaling or flipping or whatever the case is, I put a lot of weight there personally, and I think that is a huge deal. Because if not, I mean, they can be out of touch so easily.
It's
Um,
probably the thing that I use to sell the most, right? Just like in a software company, right? What makes you stand out? Because you always are going to have competition. There's no such thing, at least in our industry, of the one person that has a different offer, right? So that's the one thing, right? Is that they can actually say we are aggressively, actively operating still, and we're getting the same pain points you are, but learn from us instead of doing it and figuring it out on your own, right? So plenty of coaches out there. We know lots of them. We love lots of them, but that's what makes, Josh and Tiff stand out a little bit different than everybody. There's a few out there that are doing it their way, as far as being operators and education. But it's nice to see that. And I think it gives them an authenticity that they actually can say, oh, I've actually been there. Oh, I actually am there right now, because we're seeing marketing channels fluctuate. We're seeing all these different things become an issue. There's no one right answer for getting leads right now for real estate.
yep, 100% agree. So shifting gears a little bit, if I am running a community and I want to get more partnerships, so basically step into your role
Yep.
in a different community, how do you, and they're small, they're
Yeah.
small. How do they approach people about kind of the inverse of what we were starting about talking about earlier? How do they approach other coaches or other educators on, hey, I think you could bring value to my community. Can we work something out? How should they do that?
I think the first thing I look for, and we do this too, and I do this even actively, is finding other people in the space that don't directly compete, right? So, as an example, I recently was on the hunt for newbie coaches, right? People that are teaching people how to start wholesaling, how to start in a flip model, right? And because we don't teach those first few layers in our program, and they don't teach past that newbie side, right? They just teach them how to once they get their first like 4 or 5 deals, they're like, all right, you're good to go, right? And they graduate from their program. So looking for a compliment in that sense of like same thing that I'm doing is, okay, great. Tiffany would be amazing to come into your community of newbies to show them how they can, when they graduate, get into the next phase. How do they continue to grow? How do they continue to do that? And the same thing for the newbie approaching me and saying, "Hey, I don't teach what you teach. I actually teach these first 4 steps. How can I get involved and be able to provide that value where you can send your part of your community that you can't serve from that one piece," right? Because naturally when you do paid ads, naturally when you're doing organic strategy, you're going to get people in your funnel that you can't serve. And so finding ways. So figuring out the gap, right? Talking to that higher level coach to figure out what is that gap that they actually have that need for. Because we're all entrepreneurs at the end of the day. I'm an entrepreneur, but it's the same philosophy as like every lead that comes in my door, how do I make sure that they are provided for? And how can I make a little bit of money from it?
Yeah, because that hits twofold. Obviously, if you can make a little bit of money for it, that's positive, even if it's just helping pay for some of your advertising.
Yes. Yep.
But then also, if they see you as a resource, hey, I wasn't able, this didn't work out for me, but they pointed me in this right direction. You may check them out for this, or referrals. I mean, we deal with it in our house buying business a lot, where somebody will reach out to us. They're referred by somebody who we didn't buy their house.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I didn't buy their house, but they said somebody should call us. Hey, that's pretty cool. That means we weren't the right fit, which is fine, but we served them in a positive manner.
Yeah, relationships first. That's me and our buddy Tom argue this all the time. He says revenue first. I say relationships first because I think relationships lead to the revenue. But if you always lead from that place of giving and love and and positivity and helping people, even if you don't end up being the solution that moment, so, 5 years from now, who knows where we're going, right? Or a year from now. So that newbie that I can't serve right now, I send over to this other person. They
Exactly.
help facilitate, they make them successful, and then they end up coming back naturally because they were grateful for the fact that we didn't just toss them to the side and not even help them. So that's why relationships and impact is really important in this education space for sure.
Gotcha. Off the wall question. If I assume that people reach out to you via Instagram or Facebook
Yeah.
about being partners, do you have AI manage it or do you assist it manage it or do you actually manage those?
Mine, I manage myself. I tried some other ways and it just didn't feel right. And I don't have enough to a point that it's like I really need to do that. So I block time every day to be able to not only answer and do that, but reach out myself, right? Because I use the same mechanisms as everybody else. And I think people would be surprised when I say, Tiffany, you have about a probably a 70% chance it is Tiffany in there answering those messages. She is up in there.
I will see that. I can totally see that.
We have a team, we have people, but there are plenty of times, and I always laugh because I can tell the difference, and I always laugh because the team likes to mess with me if I'm sending her something, but no, she even her, like, she's super busy, she's a mom, an entrepreneur of multiple businesses, she's traveling to events, doing all this stuff, but she likes to keep a hold so it's authentic. She really doesn't like the team to pretend to be her. She has a very specific way she wants people to see
Mhm.
her. So, even her, she like I said, we do have somebody who manages obviously the results driven social media side, but most of the time the TIFF profile is TIFF.
You can tell, and where I think, and I was just curious about
Yeah.
it, but where I really can tell somebody has either a VA or a bot responding is if there's any other context than the message. So if we were chatting back and forth or going back and forth replying on a Facebook post, and then I reach out to them on Messenger or send them a DM, and it's as if we've never talked before. It's like like I just said I'll DM, like you just said DM me. I'm DMing you now. And
Yep.
hey, John, how are you? Have we met before?
And then it's many chat probably picking up.
I'm like, okay, there went a lot of credibility you had. And it'll be interesting to see how it grows, but I was just curious.
It
I,
It's one of those things, right? AI is a great thing. It's great
it,
for tools. I use it every day in different areas, but there's just something about remaining authentic in the social media sphere. I personally, Tiff has that same thing. Even Josh's does this. Like it's very easy to see that if you know them that it's them. The funniest thing is, I think people don't realize is, you know, AI doesn't make mistakes grammatically. And so I think that's one of the things that are really, really telling is when you see somebody have a grammatical mistake, that you're like, oh, that was actually a person.
what's funny about that is and not trying to get into people, we have some AI agents, and that's one of the things that we have in there is for it to specifically, intentionally, occasionally misspell words
Yep. Yeah. The
because
grammar,
that's
though,
what
the
appear.
grammar is harder. It's not just
Mhm.
the spelling, it's the grammar that I usually watch for. But yeah, no, AI is reading. Um, we have a mutual person that I think will be with us at our next event that we're both going to, but who his bot texted me, and it was the funniest thing because I kept responding to his bot just to like mess with it, and then I
How
was
fun was it?
and send it to him and be like, "Hey, buddy, like, what is going on here?"
First name start with J or S or
S
neither.
S.
Gotcha.
You know who it is.
Yep. I figured. I figured.
But it's fun. It's fun, and I do like it because it actually lets me learn some things. So, listen, I'm in the middle of playing between Chat and Claude and learning Claude and figuring out right, and so it's a different world, but it does help me be more productive. So I'm not knocking it at all. It's a if you don't embrace it, I think you're going to get left behind in general.
Oh, most definitely. And it's going to continue to get better and people will get better. We actually just told our home buying team, my Pete side of things, we've been using AI for a while, so there's nothing new there. But our home buying and property management and flipping company, yesterday I told everybody 30 minutes a day, you have to learn AI.
Yeah.
Play with it, try to break. I don't care. Right now, if you just want to, if you don't know anything about it, you just want to say, help me create a budget. I don't care. I want you to get comfortable using it and start coming up with ways on things that can make your job easier, can make things more efficient. And I emphasize with them, I'm not using this to try to replace you. I'm using this to make your job more efficient so we
Yeah.
can do more deals without me pulling my hair out trying to manage more people.
I'll take you a step further. It's not professionally wise, but personally wise. My husband is the cook of the family, so he's gone right now.
Okay.
So I know how to cook. Like I know how to do it. I don't like it. I don't know that I'm that great at it, but I will tell you, my bot has helped me coming up with the menus, creating my grocery lists. One my favorite hobby personally is to plan trips, even if I don't go on them. Like I just love to like fantasize and plan. It's like that's actually things I do to decompress. And so I don't use AI to replace that fun. I actually use it to help me expand the ideas that I could come up with. And I usually pitch top 3 ideas to my husband every year for what we're going to do that year for vacation. And then he picks it. But like, even in that capacity, and I recently had my mom just to watch the kids when I go out of town. I put everything in chat to make a schedule for her so that she wouldn't miss anything because my kids have all these activities and all these things going on. And so I use it in my personal life as well to just help manage me a little bit better with my zoo of a household that I have.
That's smart. It's smart. And I'm just waiting for Rosie to come out. I'm a kid from the 80s and 90s, grew up with the Jetsons.
Oh,
It's a
it
robot
can't
Rosie.
wait. We have had this conversation. She cannot wait.
What's funny is one of my daughters, I have twin girls, one of them cooks for us. She enjoys cooking and she makes some extra money. And lately, 3 of us are doing a meal plan. She's meal prepping for us on Sundays. But we were talking about this last night and she was saying, if you get one of those robots, I'm breaking it. It is not, that's number one, that's creepy. That's weird. I don't want it to come into my room and slit my throat. But if it takes my job, I'm breaking it.
I mean, I have concerns, Skynet,
Yeah.
I have concerns. However, I have to embrace parts of it. I don't know how ready I am for a full on robot. But someone that could come in and really clean the house, like I don't know that I'd hate that.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. Same.
Yeah, no.
Well, we are coming to the end here. This has been a great conversation, Amanda. I really appreciate it. Any any tips you'd like to share for somebody, whether it's sharing it with a newbie or an existing investor who needs help, or somebody that's looking to partner with y'all, or whatever the case is? Any parting words of wisdom for people?
I would say my biggest thing I tell anybody, kids, professional, whatever, is no matter what you're doing, education is the foundation of everything, right? So whether you're a new person, whether you're experienced, there's always something to learn. I myself, I had to force myself to become a book reader, but really, engaging and expanding my brain. So I think I always tell people is like, just keep learning, even if it's from YouTube videos, even if you can't afford the education like on a one-on-one basis. Find the people that have already made the mistakes, follow them. Every one of the people that have actually made the mistakes and are out on the internet, they love to share. So this is like not a new thing, but take time and do that. And I am always open for any conversation. So if I can help anybody in any way, if I can connect people in any way, my all my socials are the same. I can't talk today. It's just Amanda Webster COO. So if you at Amanda Webster COO, you'll find my Instagram, you'll find my Facebook. I even have a LinkedIn, which we have a friend that's trying to teach me how to do that because I don't really know how to utilize LinkedIn the way it's supposed to be. So I am always available, and it is always me in the chat.
Always her.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was the next question I was going to ask. So reach out to her, Amanda Webster, COO. Correct?
Yeah.
And she'll help you however. Amanda's a great person. She's always willing to help. I've known her for I've known of you for a few years. We've met a few times, but like I said, I normally sit back. Um, but reach out to her. Amanda, thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. And everybody else, talk to you next week.